Det är någon som har skrivit på väggarna som ni ser här. Och det är lite oklart vad det betyder, men någon sorts vrede, stolthet, dignity, pride, self-esteem. Or is someone who really got hurt here?
When did you come to America the free? Who are your ancestors? What is your creed? Who is the father and the son and the we? Where is the spirit that saw liberty? When did you come to America? Long, long before when the buffalo walked. When did your hands burn like gold? The thing that made this land your pride and your joy.
Södra Kalifornien är klimatmässigt en öken. Men det är svårt att föreställa sig när man färdas genom mil efter mil av nyexploaterade villastäder, konstgjorda sjöar och välmatade köpcentra. Att allt fler människor kan leva här, ja att det överhuvudtaget växer någonting här, beror på att staten i Kalifornien under många år satsat enorma resurser på att leda stora mängder vatten över långa distanser till den här regionen. Utan de investeringarna hade de här samhällena aldrig kunnat byggas. Och George McManigal hade inte kunnat odla några fruktträd på sin farm några mil nordost om San Diego.
Here's the situation I was telling you about. The leaves have dropped.
This is cherimoya tree.
And the cherimoyas that are left, they're getting sunburned, burning. So.
Ja, odla fruktträd kan han inte riktigt nu heller, eftersom vattnet inte längre räcker till. Och han har tvingats såga ner en tredjedel av sina avokadoträd.
When we bought the place, the water wasn't an issue, and the owner was watering for about 14 hours a week. We now currently water at most 5 hours a week. We have probably close to $1,000 a month water bill just maintaining it, half the water they were using.
But you're not allowed to use as much water as you would need, is that so?
That's true. Agriculture in Southern California was cut back 30%.
På en förtorkad sluttning i närheten breder en skog av nysågade fruktträdstubbar ut sig. Och mitt i skogen en skylt som aviserar ännu en stad i öknen. Den enes vatten har i södra Kalifornien blivit en andres död.
Developers' interests is everything in Southern California. There's no way of getting around that.
So that's the conflict then?
Well, the conflict is, I'm here, I like my lifestyle. I am not ready for Orange County and Los Angeles to move down here and say, get rid of this farm so we can put in 10 houses. I'm not ready for that.
En gång handlade utvecklingen i södra Kalifornien om stora, djärva, kollektiva projekt. Floder som dämdes upp, akvedukter som drogs hundratals mil över bergen. Men det är länge sedan nu. Och södra Kaliforniens invånarantal och vattenbehov har mångdubblats sedan dess. Och bristen på investeringar i nya vattenledningar har blivit akut.
Här ser man akvedukten komma ner. Det här är nyckeln till Los Angeles. Utan det här skulle Los Angeles inte kunna existera. 70% av Los Angeles dricksvatten kommer genom de här rören. Och det här är alltså resultatet av gigantiska investeringar som den amerikanska staten en gång i tiden gjorde för att Kalifornien överhuvudtaget skulle kunna existera.
Vattenkrisen i Kalifornien är bara en av de utmaningar som tycks kräva att samhället kollektivt griper in och gör något. Ännu en utmaning där den ensamma individen i Amerika står sig slätt.
You've come at a very opportune day. It's a little busy. Today we are actually voting on changing our water ordinance. So you're interested in talking about water plans for the city, but we're going to be instigating higher fines, enforcement for the first time since the 1990s.
Water resources are under pressure, either because of climate change or because of environmental concerns and other issues. As a result, we find ourselves in a position of having to turn to our own resources, at least to provide water for the growth of the city in the future. That means doing things that Los Angeles has not had to do previously, such as cleaning up our own aquifers, such as capturing our rainfall, which currently hits impervious surfaces and washes out to the ocean, such as reclaiming our water. Instead of throwing our wastewater out to the ocean, which is what we do for the most part right now.
Det här är ju själva källan till vattenkrigen i Kalifornien. Klippiga bergen i Colorado. Det härifrån vattnet rinner ner mot Stilla havet.
Men vem ska avgöra hur mycket av vattnet härifrån som ska få gå till Kalifornien? Särskilt nu efter flera år av torka, kanske resultatet av en långsiktig klimatförändring. När en av presidentkandidaterna, John McCain, antydde att fördelningen av vatten borde omförhandlas efter behov, blev ledarskribenten på lokaltidningen i Denver, Colorado, rasande.
My advice to him was very simple. You can probably get away with advocating atheism as a state religion. You could probably steal our guns. You could probably outlaw apple pie, but never, ever mess with our water. I mean, it's for 86 years. I mean, we have had water wars. People get killed.
Federal Emergency Management Agency is sending some money to help fight that huge fire in Santa Cruz County. That's the word from FEMA today.
That money can't come too soon. Hundreds of families are still evacuated today after that fire burned through more than 3,000 acres. Now, earlier today, the governor toured the CAL FIRE base camp.
Both state resources will be used to get this fire contained as quickly as possible.
Yeah, actually, we're at the Orange Bee and Green Canyon.
Yeah, okay, copy. Come on into base camp.
How come that you have a wildfire and moist area of the Santa Cruz Mountains? Is that something new?
Being we've had the drought, no rain, there's not enough water to bring the fuel moistures up. That's why it burns so fast and so clean, because the fuels are, like I said, normally where we would see them at the end of summer. And that's why it burnt. And so it's not going to do nothing but get worse for the next several months until we hit the end of summer. So
there is an official drought now proclaimed for the whole state.
Is it official?
I believe I heard that as well, yes.
Yeah, the governor has proclaimed it now.
Yeah.
So you're getting more resources now, CAL FIRE, because of the drought?
No more money really coming in to the firefighting effort for the state of California.
Den långvariga torkan i Kalifornien, kanske också den ett resultat av långsiktiga klimatförändringar, har ställt människorna här inför ännu en utmaning som de inte så lätt kan möta ensamma. Även om de som nyss bodde här, längs de undangömda vägarna, i skogarna, uppe i bergen öster om Santa Cruz, gärna ville vara ensamma. Ogärna ville ha med samhället att göra.
A lot of the people that live up there live what we call off the grid.
So they were a bit shy when you came up there, to put it mildly.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that a lot of the people who live up there because they want to be away from everyone and everything. And this is quite an intrusion.
So many houses like this, do you think, were burnt?
Something like 50.
50 houses.
Around 50.
And there were houses you didn't know about. I mean, this was an area where it was not particular.
Well, yeah, because like off of a lot of these little roads, people had, you know, maybe a trailer, you know, or some other kind of structure that they were living in, but maybe no address.
The reminiscence is still there. If you go see this, and you see the center block here, my vintage Mercedes.
It's a vintage Mercedes?
Vintage Mercedes, you betcha. My very first Mercedes, 1975.
You had everything there. This was your home.
Oh, even a screwdriver was burnt. I accumulated everything last 50 years.
And you have vineyards.
Right, that's right. It's just there's some vines that all fried up too. Yeah.
You had vines up here.
Right, that's right.
So what did you do? You
pick a legal species that I grow. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. Are you going to rebuild your house?
Well, at this point, I have no choice. I have no place to go to live, and I sleep in time to time I sleep in my son's house in San Francisco. I came from San Francisco today. Is a place I can move into.
In Sweden?
Yeah, I'm glad to move to. Yes, well, indeed.
But it also hopefully will free up some state resources to come down and help out.
You know, I think I'm going to need a tractor because that roof is just solid and it's just sitting on everything.
So I haven't received any piece of anything from any governmental agency about what to do, except luckily my neighbor put this notice on a street corner that I discovered. Had you put it up there, I would not be here today, you know. And is this a real? I like to ask that question.
But will insurance cover this? Will you have the
No,
means?
I have no insurance because it's too expensive to cover. Oh. Because no service, you just said about this, right? People don't want the address, they don't want, the law enforcement knows about where we are and et cetera. And that makes, it hard for us to get the insurance.
But it's a kind of an interesting contrast between being very, very private and not want to have anything to do with the authorities, and then when the fire comes, you're totally dependent on.
We have a good question. You have a very good question, because that's what we are fighting every day. I've been living up there the last 20 years. We've been fighting that issue, that there's a part of the community of folks that they insist on privacy. They don't want road paved, and they don't want, be known. But when situations like this happen, what do? You cannot fight with the hose and a pick and shovel, you know what I'm saying? So I'm a senior citizen. I'm more conscious about, concerned about the safety and security. So I am for, minimum improvement, civilization.
Åter till civilisationen, eller åtminstone till den berömda boardwalken i Santa Cruz, där alla utmaningar verkar hanterbara och där alla bekymmer är till för att glömmas, åtminstone för en dag. Men allt är inte vad det ser ut att vara, i varje fall inte i havet utanför.
They've closed down so much areas and restricted how many fish you can catch on a commercial boat that it's not worth it for a lot of commercial guys to even go out. So it doesn't even pay for their fuel.
Sedan några månader råder längs hela den amerikanska västkusten stopp för allt fiske av lax, eftersom tillgången på lax drastiskt har minskat. Och guvernören i Kalifornien har deklarerat ännu ett undantagstillstånd och därmed dragit på sig ännu en utgift, skadeersättning till fiskarna, som man inte kommer att kunna betala ut.
It's stressful right now. I'm sweating it. I really am. I'm gonna make it. It's gonna be down to the tooth and nail, but I'm gonna make it,
I think generally the political class can't handle the conflict between people want things. They want people locked up in prison. They want good roads. They want good schools. They want police and firemen. And they want pensions, but they don't want to pay for them. So the answer for the last decade or more is to borrow. And I believe the Governor Schwarzenegger will borrow more. And at some point, there will have to be a reckoning. But I would say that's at least a year away, maybe longer.
Vad I didn't see so many foreclosure signs, a few.
Well, there's one right here. A lot of them, like I said, a lot of them don't have signs on it because they're afraid people will go in and vandalize. It's a target, that it's empty. And so, you know, a lot of people are not putting signs anymore just so it's harder to spot them. But we know, most people know because the grass is dead and the yards are not kept up. And here's another one right here.
So what's happened in this house? It's empty now.
Yeah, this is a vacant house. This is a foreclosure.
And you told me that the people sometimes get so
They get so upset that they're losing their homes that they destroy them sometimes. After they leave.
Destroy their own home?
Mm-hmm. When they leave.
So this is still for sale. How much would it be today?
Yeah, the home is $179,900.
And once upon a time, how much was it, do you think?
Probably 400.
Ingen vet exakt hur många miljoner människor i Amerika som på kort tid fått sina hus utmätta av banken. Men många miljoner är det, och fler kommer det att bli. En människotillverkad katastrof som ingen ännu sett slutet av, men vars konsekvenser börjar bli allt tydligare.
Never let the odds keep you from doing what you know you're meant to do. Ja, det är någon som har skrivit på väggarna som ni ser här. Och det är lite oklart vad det betyder, men någon sorts vrede, stolthet, dignity, pride, self-esteem. Or is someone who really got hurt here? Det är någon som har verkligen fått sin självkänsla skadad. What do you think that means? Have you seen things like this before?
I see things all the time. You know, we have to watch the homes to make sure that they're drive by and make sure that they're not being vandalized and destroyed, windows broken in them and things stolen like the refrigerators or dishwashers.
How do you think it affects people when such a thing happens?
I think it affects everybody really bad. I think the children are very affected. Long term, I've been asked if there's any counseling for the children that don't know where they're going to be going next. It ruins the families. It puts the families in turmoil as people fight, and it goes down to the kids. It trickles down. So we need to rebuild.
Do you think people sort of somehow were lured into buying these houses that they couldn't afford really, or how do you see that?
I think that people make their own choices. I don't think they were lured. I think people are educated and they made their own choices and they wanted. A lot of people too, this is something that they never talk about, is the houses were going up and they already had the home. Maybe they, like my home, I don't owe that much money on my home. A lot of people were refinancing their homes, pulling their money out of it and then spending the money. So they were using basically their homes as an ATM machine.
They were eating up their houses?
They were eating up their houses because the banks were giving them the money. But maybe when they bought the house to begin with, maybe they paid a fair price, but they kept going up and up. So then they would pull the money out and they would go on vacations or get a nice pool in their backyard or send their kids to college or whatever they wanted to do. And then when the market changed, then their house again was too high for what the market value was. So that happened a lot, and then nobody talks about that. I think that we need help. So whatever it takes, if the government has to step in, yes, we need help.
Inte bara människor, utan också städer kan leva över sina tillgångar i Amerika.
Pawn shop is always thriving though.
Yeah, well that's of course. That's of course
business.
Always like that.
They do a business.
Vallejo, Kalifornien är en stad som har gjort det. Som inte längre kan betala sina räkningar. Som har gått i konkurs.
Essentially our general fund, which is the part of the budget that we pay employees and provide services, is very close to reaching zero at this point. So we've declared Chapter 9 bankruptcy so that we can get protection from our creditors and hopefully reorganize and change some of the structural issues facing the city.
The school district is bankrupt too, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. It went bankrupt a few years ago.
So there is no local Vallejo school district anymore?
No, there is, but it's run by the state now.
Run by the state?
Yeah, it's been taken over.
Well, public service is bad, but this will give us an opportunity to make it better, because without this, we can't make it better. We've been trying for many, many years. So let's try something different.
Bankruptcy.
Well, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, I think that's a good definition of insanity. So we have to do something different to get the ball rolling.
You're bankrupt.
Well, so what?
That's a shame, isn't it?
It is a shame, but you know, it's like anything. You divorce your wife and get a new one.
You agree?
Why not?
This is your shop here?
Yeah.
43 years.
Yeah, he worked hard at various things. This is what we were talking about over the years, that all the things that we've done, and you know, we don't really have community because of it. Nobody will get together and play ball with each other. And maybe now with the new bankruptcy thing, you know, people see we've hit bottom. Just like, you know, drug addiction or alcoholism or whatever. You hit bottom, where else can you go but up? So like I say, now's the time to buy.
Hey, Fred. Here's another. Yeah, another one across the street, empty
Right,
for
see
lease.
that.
Yeah. So there's quite a few. This is empty. This has been empty for a long time. Yeah, there you go. A foreclosure tour.
Which means you go and look at
Foreclosed
houses
properties,
that are
yeah.
foreclosed.
Curious about the foreclosure tours. Well, what that amounts to is if people are interested in specifically seeing homes that are available that are in foreclosure or soon to be in foreclosure, then they can meet on a certain day and we take them out on tour to see those homes.
So how many are there now on the tour? How many can you show?
Many. I would have to find out how many, 25, 30.
Right now?
Yes, many homes on foreclosure.
Our roads are a mess. Our trees aren't trimmed. We're cutting services to seniors. We're cutting libraries. We're cutting, you know, everything that makes a community wonderful to live in are the things that we've cut. Parks, recreation.
Some people say that Vallejo is just a bellwether for the state of California as a whole, which is in the red in many ways. Do you see, could there be many more cities or more cities going bankrupt?
Or getting really close. Yes, I do. I've gotten emails and calls from other cities saying, you know, as you go through this, please show leadership. You're setting a precedent for us.
De brister i samhället som idag har blivit en växande realitet för den stora amerikanska medelklassen har naturligtvis alltid varit en realitet för de människor och samhällen i Amerika som bara kan beskrivas som genuint fattiga.
In California and out of California, we're perceived as a third world country in disadvantaged communities like ours in Alpine. And what their thought is that we're all out here on the beach, sun tanning with sunglasses, daiquiris in our hands, and the palm trees and the umbrellas. And that's not correct. We're a struggle. We struggle for everything. We struggle for roads, the infrastructure on the roads. We struggle for water. We struggle to get recognized from the county, from our own supervisors. This is where it really started, the contamination.
Okay.
Our well number 9 failed. They put us on this well, and this was the one that was contaminated. We couldn't drink the water. That's when our water problems, buying water bottles and all that started. You see my car? Have you seen like 3 cases of water?
Yeah, I did say that.
That's what we have to do. They talk about India, they talk about Africa, and rightly so. But when it comes to their own states, you know, like California, it's like, I've been told many times, wow, Bangladesh is worse than you are. What are you complaining about? But, hun, I don't live in Bangladesh, okay? I live in the United States. I live in California. Why am I having to have help when I live right here and this should already be over? We should not be in this situation, correct? And then you have a school that can't afford books because they have to buy water.
So the school has to buy bottled water for the
Yes.
for the children.
Yes, we do.
Students.
We have a shipment of water that comes in every week, and we have a water bottle in every classroom. So you can see as you look up, if you look up at the roofs, especially when you go around the corner here, how the buildings have just rotted away. Look at if you look straight down, you can see there's holes all the way up in there. If you go and look and see how that's buckling down there. And all the way down, there's a huge hole down there. It's just a monstrous, but state of California, for one reason or another, just hasn't moved quickly enough on that.
That was a big hole there.
That thing's a monster, yeah.
Basically, the school is falling apart. And
yes, it is. Now, here's the good news. Last Friday, I went to Sacramento and made my pitch again. I said, listen, you've got to do something about this.
Det här är delstatskongressen i Kaliforniens huvudstad Sacramento. Kalifornien har visserligen inte gått i konkurs, men budgetunderskottet är rekordstort. Och Kaliforniens förmåga att investera i sina allt mer eftersatta offentliga behov har blivit allt sämre. Det här är en civilisation som inte tycks kunna eller vilja betala för sina eftersatta vägar, skolor och vattenledningssystem. Och att döma av den här demonstrationen inte heller för sjukförsäkringar till sina anställda.
Ellos están diciendo que no necesitamos nosotros cobertura médica. Tenemos que esperar hasta 30 meses para poder cubrir a nuestra familia. No tenemos cobertura dental, no tenemos cobertura de la visión. Es muy pobre nuestra cobertura y queremos continuar con ella, pero mejorarla.
Vem det sista ropet är riktat till går inte att missförstå. Inte i Kalifornien. I'll be back, jag kommer tillbaka, är närmast en signatur för Kaliforniens guvernör Arnold Schwarzenegger, som har sitt kontor här inne i den pampiga kongressbyggnaden.
Ready? Wait, why is there like so many gaps?
Och utanför hans dörr vimlar det av lobbyister och delegationer som alla vill nå in till honom med sina krav.
No new taxes. But Governor Schwarzenegger said when he got started, he had a $5 billion deficit, which was huge. And he said he would fix it, and he did. He got the $5 billion, and now we're even more in debt.
Now we're 18 billion.
And you want lower taxes then?
We don't want new taxes.
We just don't want keep what we have,
including fees,
look
because
for
fees
ways
are
to
taxes.
cut the budget. That's what we're saying, please. Just like we at home,
sneaky taxes.
We have had to cut our budget because of high gasoline. We can't go out to the movies like we used to go out. Yeah. Food's gone up, bread, milk, everything's gone up.
Mm-hmm. So what do you want them to cut?
Oh my gosh, there are so many ways. Do you know in our prisons, 25% of the people in our prisons are illegal aliens? If we deported the illegals, 25, that's a lot of money. There's a lot of money they could save just from that. There's a lot of, we think, attrition. If positions are open, just don't hire people to fill those positions. You don't have to even cut positions.
It's on hold
just
for
don't
a while.
fill those positions. Just cut like we do in my company. If someone leaves, we just don't fill that position.
Rent geografiskt är det inte särskilt långt från guvernörens kontor till viceguvernörens. En kort korridorpromenad bara. Men politiskt är avståndet större. Om skattemotståndarna möjligen kan förvänta sig viss sympati från guvernören, som är republikan, så knappast från viceguvernören, som sitter i kontoret mitt emot och är vald på eget mandat och är en vänsterliberal demokrat som anser att Amerikas snarast bör införa en allmän sjukförsäkring åt alla.
There's not a working person in this state that is one job away from losing their health insurance. You lose your job because of changes in the economy, the down economy, the housing bubble, the crisis, the current economic crisis. You lose your job, you lose your health care. And that involves everybody. We're looking at maybe 20,000 teachers who have health care today that get laid off because of the budget cuts. They're without health insurance. You look at state employees, similarly. You look at people that are in the housing industry that were building the houses during the housing boom. They don't have health insurance anymore.
So the budget cuts in the Californian budget, and you are heavily in the red right now, create more people that do not have any insurance then?
Yes, that is correct. The current budget crisis will put more people unemployed and without insurance, and they will get their medical care from the public hospitals. So you got a cycle here. The expense doesn't disappear.
And the public hospitals are also then underfunded because
That's
of
correct,
this.
and so we start this downward spiral.
Historically, America is a very individualistic society. You know, the balance between individual and society has shifted a bit. The last perhaps 20 years, the shift has been very much on the individual. Do you think there is a shift back to a more sort of social or more society-aware America?
There has to be. There has to be. We've got 40, 50 million Americans without health care. Without health care. They don't have insurance and they don't have access to health care. When they get really sick, then they wind up in the emergency room, the most expensive, least efficient place for them to wind up for medical services. Just in terms of the well-being of our economy, we have to change this system.
What is this?
This is what my senator, Lou Correa, and these are all petitions of people that don't want their taxes raised in his district. And so I would really like, we're going to go talk to him in 20 minutes. But this is our democracy in action, you know.
Den 1 augusti 2007, klockan 6 på kvällen, rasade en 8-filig motorvägsbro just där vi tittar nu. Rakt ner i Mississippi-floden, mitt i storstaden Minneapolis. –13 människor dog, hundratals skadades. En hel nation frågade sig hur det kunde hända. En som inte slutat fråga är Kimberly Brown.
I was actually a passenger, and we were on our way to a soccer game, and the road started waving, and I looked up from what I was doing, and the bridge started to collapse.
Under your car?
Yes.
And you fell down?
Yep. Yes.
So after that happened, after a while, you started to question the state of the bridges in the city, or what happened?
Around the bridge collapse 1-year anniversary, some workers came to me and told me they were very concerned.
Workers came to you and told you about other problems?
Yes.
So what is this here?
This is a guardrail in New Ulm, Minnesota. It's about 2 hours southwest of the cities, and workers told me that this guardrail is deteriorating, and it has been deteriorating for a long time.
Let's see something. That's a fractured pillar here.
Yes, that's another pier that's under 394.
Well, I started to look at the inspection reports. Each time there's an inspection, there's a multi-page report written with photographs and a description of what they find. This is called a bearing block. The bolt had broken, and this part started to turn.
This is the I-35 bridge.
This is the bridge, yes. And here's another bolt broken. I found many, many pages of bolts broken. This is 2005. There's
and this
another
was
bolt.
Never fixed? Or?
Never fixed.
Never fixed?
And if you look at 2004, the picture is the same as 2006. There's 2003, same block, same missing bolt. 2003. 2002, same block. And you can go back and back and back, and it's the same thing back into the 90s. We have a lot of bridges that are rusted, in fact, we've closed 4 bridges over the Mississippi River in this last year. So it's very disconcerting to me to find that so many bridges have had such poor maintenance.
Some people say that this is just symptomatic or significant of the general underinvestment in infrastructure in the United States.
That is absolutely correct, yes. I feel that that is a problem that we are going to have to face up to within a very short time. There's infrastructure, and bridges and roads are not our only infrastructure that are a problem. We have water pipes, steam pipes, our utility systems that need to be upgraded. And we're not spending the money on it because it isn't visible. So we're living with it right now. In St. Paul, there are actually lead water pipes yet. And lead, we know, is a poison. We should not be having our drinking water going through those lead water pipes.
You have lead pipes here?
We have lead pipes in St. Paul, yes. Now, very few people know about these infrastructure investments that are needed. And what we have today in the U.S. and in Minnesota specifically is this anti-investment attitude we call the anti-tax attitude.
Bara några kilometer härifrån, från den plats där den stora motorvägsbron plötsligt rasade i hjärtat av Amerika, håller det republikanska partiet sitt konvent. Ett konvent där ordet skatt är ett fult ord, liksom ordet government, staten.
John McCain will lower taxes so our economy can grow. He'll reduce government to strengthen our dollar. And he will lead us to energy independence so we can be free of foreign oil. Drill, baby, drill. Drill, baby, drill. Hey, you guys were ready to break out. Woo! This.
You made a sort of a famous change of mind some 9-10 years ago. Why that?
Because my understanding of the role of government changed. When I was a Republican, I believed that the private sector could step up to the plate and address a lot of the major issues we're still facing, income inequalities, the need to care for those left out of America's prosperity. And then I saw firsthand that this wasn't happening, that the private sector was more interested in donating to fashionable museums or prestigious educational institutions. So it became clear that we could never really address those fundamental problems in our society without the raw power of government appropriations.
And are the Americans being more convinced that government is more necessary now than they perhaps thought before?
Well, there is a big division on that. But I think there's no question that on many issues that used to be considered left-wing, the American public has shifted, so that the center of American politics has shifted. The latest foreclosures, the millions of Americans who were caught in the subprime mortgage crisis, all that has convinced the American people that we need to do something about corporate responsibility, global warming. Again, majorities now, even many Republicans, believe that global warming is man-made and we need to do something about it. And of course, bringing the troops home from Iraq.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, the war in Iraq has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, the war in Iraq has got to go.
Det finns allt fler i Amerika som gör en koppling mellan de eftersatta behoven på hemmaplan och det kostsamma kriget i Irak. Samtidigt som det republikanska konventet invigs i Minneapolis är en ny stor orkan på väg mot New Orleans, där fördämningarna brast för exakt 3 år sedan.
Well, I heard on the television that the levees are not going to be complete until 2011, which seems ridiculous. I mean, are we going to ask the weather to not have a hurricane until 2011? And I don't know why we couldn't put more money towards the levees when we're wasting all this money on war. In addition, our own bridge fell down, and we got that done within a year, and I don't think that would have happened if the Republican convention wasn't going to be here.
Yeah, I bet that's true. And it collapsed due to lack of funding for infrastructure. And money's been siphoned off from key infrastructure development throughout the country ever since the war began, ever since the Bush administration took office.
Well, and especially since Governor Pawlenty came into office, because his attitude was absolutely no new taxes. Didn't matter for what.
Yeah.
So we have bushes falling down. He doesn't care. No taxes. Let the bridges fall down. I mean, It's just ridiculous.
It's been a disgrace.
And we're bringing attention to the war in Iraq. We want to keep the war in Iraq on the front burner and insert our message of peace into the convention.
Yesterday we were pushed out with sticks and then sprayed, and for no reason at all.
Åter till Kalifornien, som om det hade varit ett eget land, hade varit ett av världens rikaste. Men som inte kan betala sina räkningar och vars guvernör mitt i den stora finanskraschen på Wall Street har tvingats be den federala regeringen i Washington om ett nödlån på $7 miljarder. Som om det skulle finnas några pengar att hämta där. Här verkar sedan några år forskaren som blev världsbekant för sin studie av informationssamhällets nya villkor. Villkor som han menar att Amerika hittills inte klarat av att uppfylla.
Well, fundamentally, this is a society with gigantic problems in every way you look at. It has not invested for a long time in the basic infrastructures of a knowledge economy, such as education, health, also the transportation, connectivity, and even in telecommunications. America is way behind Europe in wireless communication because of an ill-conceived policy of extreme competition without the standards. Europe benefited from the Nordic standards in wireless communication that then diffused to the rest of Europe. America is still a prisoner of the inability to act jointly, and this doesn't mean government versus market, it means a concerted action for the common interest. And now, because of the overextension of its geopolitical commitments in senseless wars in Iraq, then all the possibilities of intervening from the government with substantial funding in targeted ways are being completely wasted in paying literally tens of thousands of mercenaries and spending $10 billion a week in the Iraq war without any prospect to really doing anything else but stabilizing Iraq in the future at a much lower level than before.
Do you think the American society is able to turn this corner, to come back to investing in public infrastructure and all these things?
On the one hand, you see societies often change when they don't have any other choice but change. That's a general rule in history. When you are in a situation in which if you don't change the basic elements of the economy, society collapse, then when you reach that point, you have to change. However, the difficulties and dramas of this society are compounded by the fact that the political instruments and the policy-making instruments of this society are in shambles.
I ett Amerika som inte vill finansiera sina vattenledningar, sina vägar, sina broar och sina skolor finns åtminstone ett område där pengar inte verkar vara ett problem. Där man till och med har råd att mitt i den kaliforniska öknen på en yta stor som Gotland bygga ett konstgjort Irak.
And of course for us, we remain alive because if we aren't Iraq, we can always play Afghanistan.
You do Afghanistan here too?
Yeah, we do Afghanistan. We hire, all these actors are Iraqis. We can go ahead and hire 250 Afghani actors. We change the enemy to whoever we need to change the enemy to.
Detainee! But I don't have the detainee kit. It should be in there. Mark!
Fortsättning följer.